Shana Tova. Maybe at the end I'll try it again and you'll be warmed up. These holy days are a precious and rare opportunity. They are entire days set aside in our noisy and increasingly confusing world to remind ourselves of our most honorable dreams. We do this work together so as to encourage one another not only to dream, but to get started on fulfilling our dreams. I'm so happy to be here with you, with all my colleagues, as we begin this exciting, daunting, and ultimately exhilarating process of finding our way, finding our purpose, and finding ourselves once again. Rosh Hashanah literally means head of the year, in that it marks the point when we begin the new calendar year. Tonight begins the calendar year 5779. There are actually 4 names for this holy day, which may sound like a lot, yet each one highlights a different aspect of the holiday. In addition to Rosh Hashanah, we have Yom Teruah, the day of sounding the shofar. That is the actual name the holiday is called in the Torah. The Teruah is the staccato sound blown on the shofar. Yom Hadin, the day of judgment, we call it that because we might imagine that God judges our deeds on this day. Yom Harat Ha'olam is the birthday of the world, and Yom HaZikaron, the day of remembrance. Of these, Yom HaZikaron is likely to be the least familiar to many of us. Yet, memory can be one of the most interesting, powerful, and hopeful elements of this day, once we understand it a bit better. So please remember the name Yom HaZikaron, because we will come back to it. But first, I invite you to consider with me what role memory and remembering has in Jewish practice. The word zachor, remember, appears more than 150 times in our Hebrew Bible. For example, the 10 Commandments include remember, zachor, the Sabbath day, and keep it holy. And the Shabbat before Purim is called Shabbat Zachor, the Shabbat of remembrance. And of course there is remember that you were slaves in Egypt, the prevalent and salient reminder of our responsibilities as a people, once enslaved and now free. Journalist Joshua Foyer, the 2006 UA Memory Champion, I bet you didn't know there was a Memory Championship. Raise your hand if you knew there was such a thing as a Memory Championship. You did. Okay, so did you know that Joshua Foyer was the 2006 USA Memory Champion? This is what he said about what he calls the Jewish preoccupation with memory. In Judaism, observance and remembering are interchangeable concepts, 2 words that are really one. For Jews, remembering is not merely a cognitive process, but one that is necessarily active. Other people remember by thinking. Jews remember by doing. Foyer's older brother, Jonathan Safran Foyer, notes, Jews have 6 senses: touch, taste, sight, smell, hearing, and memory. This 6th sense both informs our Jewish practice and brings it to life. On Shabbat, we drink wine so as to taste the sweetness of the day. On Purim, we dress up like Esther and Mordechai and boo and hiss our enemy Haman. On Pesach, we act out the story of our liberation from Egypt. Maror, the horseradish, assaults our noses and eyes so that we literally taste the bitterness of slavery. And salt water on the karpas allows us to taste the tears shed by our ancestors. We hike the deserts and splash in the streams of Israel. We pray at the Western Wall, and we remember our ancient and eternal connections to Eretz Yisrael. We recall our grandparents, or for some of us, our great-grandparents, and for others, our parents' stories of how they arrived at the shores of this country, and we locate our own place in Jewish history. We carry out our prophetic mission by serving in soup kitchens, marching in demonstrations, canvassing door to door, and by voting. Jews remember by doing. On Rosh Hashanah, our prayers and rituals call us to remember our past so that we will be inspired to create a better future. And there it is, the name I asked you to remember, Yom HaZikaron, the day of remembrance, the day to remember. This remembering is not for the purpose of nostalgia or regret for days gone by, teaches Rabbi Lisa Goldstein of the Institute for Jewish Spirituality. Rather, on Yom HaZikaron, we review our memories in order to consider who we wish to become. On this day, we recall and remind ourselves of our intentions and then recommit to them. Intention setting helps us to set goals and then to stay focused on them. Rabbi Goldstein teaches that the practice of setting intentions helps us remember to remember. All it takes is a moment. A second or two is literally enough to ask ourselves before engaging in an activity what we hope to get from it. For example, spending a few moments focused on what we want to get out of these High Holy Day services could mean the difference between 2 hours of random words, beautiful music, and a chance to see familiar faces, and the unique opportunity to engage fully. Goldstein invites us to experience the shofar blasts, the once-a-year melodies, and even the apples and honey as opportunities to practice remembering the intentions we set. Over the course of the next 10 days, we might try out or experiment with intention setting, with questions such as, why am I engaging in this prayer? What can I get out of this intention or this meditation? What about this Torah learning? How do I hope it might transform me? On the first night of the new year, we are especially aware of the potential and need for transformation in our own lives, relationships, and in the world around us. But it's easy to become overwhelmed, paralyzed even, by the sheer enormity of the goals we set and how very far we need to go to achieve them. And that is why every expert, every life coach, every personal trainer, every grief counselor, everyone starts with the same bit of advice. Take one step. Just one step. It can be tiny or it can be huge. It can be in the same direction you're already headed, or it can be in another. Take one step, they tell us. The ancient rabbis, thousands of years ago, understood brilliantly the human propensity to become overwhelmed and/or overly zealous. They knew that we wouldn't take any steps if we couldn't see our way to the first one. So they taught, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, you are not obligated to complete the task, v'lo ata ben chorin lehivatel mimena, but neither are you free to desist from it. Just as taking one step at a time is an essential element in achieving our goals, so is remembering why we set our goals in the first place and how much we want to achieve them. I think that the mitzvot and rituals of our tradition are intended to serve as reminders of our aspirations, our hopes, and our visions. But humans can be rather forgetful, or so I've heard. I've heard about people who daily forget where their keys are or where their phone is, people who forget why they entered a room, what they're about to say. I've even heard about people who have forgotten to light a candle on their father's yahrzeit. Who, me? Okay, it is me. All those things are me. But I'm pretty sure I'm not alone here. So, someone invented a keychain that beeps, and apps that lead us to our phones, and car service places put little stickers on our cars with a date for the next oil change, and funeral homes and synagogues send us notes that tell us that our loved one's yahrzeit is approaching. As Jews, our mitzvot and rituals remind us to stay focused on core values: gratitude and fulfillment, joy, repairing our relationships, and fixing the world. Mezuzot on our doors remind us that there are particular ways for us to live as Jews, both inside and outside of our homes. Kiddush reminds us that Shabbat is a gift of rest, and that our liberation from slavery means that we will never again participate in a culture or economy that depends on slavery or oppression. And Kaddish reminds us to be ever grateful to the source of life for our loved ones who once shared their lives with us. The Jewish tradition of reminders helps keep us on the path toward living the lives we desire to live, toward conducting ourselves in harmony with our values, toward remembering what we want to remember. Some of us wear reminders of what we want to remember. On a recent work trip, my husband picked up this bracelet from a car rental agency in Dublin, where drivers drive on the left side of the road. The bright yellow band warns, "Drive on left," and there's an arrow pointing left. The message is so important that it is repeated all around the bracelet, so no matter which way your hand is, you'll always know where left is, because that's where you want to drive. Similarly, tzitzit, or maybe not similarly, but also tzitzit, a reminder of the mitzvot that can lead us to increased personal fulfillment and a better, more just world. A wedding ring is an ever-present sign of an intention to commit to another person for a lifetime. My pendant proclaiming Al tagidu yom yavo haviu et hayom, don't just say the day will come, bring on that day. Lyrics from Shir Shalom, the Song of Peace, reminds me that I have a role to play in making peace in the world, and this reminder stays close to my heart. In addition to the memories of shofar calls, the inspiring prayers, and the beautiful memories that you're going to take with you, we want you to leave here today with a tangible reminder of the intentions you have set and the ones you'll be setting in the upcoming days and months. The rabbis and staff of Rodef Shalom applaud and support every effort toward growth, toward new ideas and experiences, towards new understandings, toward the resolution of problems or challenges, personal and communal. We encourage everyone to set goals and intentions and to get started on this work today by taking one step in the right direction. On Rosh Hashanah, at the gateway of what can be an epic journey of transformation, we remember. We remember who we are at our cores. Remember who and what we care most about. Remember that as individuals and as a community, even a world community, we are called upon to be better. So as you leave the building tonight, please take there's only one yellow bracelet, I get to keep that one, but take one step bracelet. Inside they have Lo Alecha Hamlacha Ligmor from the Mishnah. We're not obligated to complete the work. And on the outside they say, take one step. Please take one of these, take one step bracelet, to wear as a sign upon your hand that you may remember who you are and where you are going. Before you leave tonight, please pick up a reminder of your intentions. Shana Tova, may we make this one a good year. Let's try that again. Shana Tova. There you go, much better.
Thank you, Rabbi.